See, like I hit the button and it's already at 8 seconds. Like that can't be right. Like, and then the thing is, like, if I just started like, with my I'm Dynasty Outhouse thing, like the beginning gets cut off. Like StreamYard likes to screw with me and I don't really appreciate it.
When you said 8 seconds, mine was at like 3 seconds, so something's off there.
Exactly. See, something ain't right. But you know what's the important part?
What's that?
We're live. We are Trade Addicts live. So hold on, let's do this. Let's give everyone who is not a patron, because hey, let's face it, this is our like audition for, hey, you want to see what we do? Pre-game stretch. Got to do it.
You can get this every week, people.
Oh yeah, you can see. Look at this. Look at that right there. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm Dynasty Outhouse, and I have a trading problem.
And I am Rocky Petrella, and I too have a trading problem.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to session 147 of the Trade Addicts podcast, a member of the DLF family of podcasts, also a proud member of the Dynasty Addicts podcast network, the DAP network, if you will. And we will. We are like in dead, like we are in, like, actually that's a lie. It's not dead season. There's two things going on right now that I love. People who are actually good or bad at scouting these incoming rookies, just being super offended at everything. And it's kind of fun to watch. Like, you don't have this guy in your top 5, you must suck. You must not have looked at a piece of tape ever. All right, dude, you're just like, calm it back down.
Yeah, the Fields and Lawrence debate is already going on heavy on Twitter, I see.
And there's so many mock drafts going on with the Jets taking Zach Wilson at 2 that I'm sure it's going to be, well, why don't we just, hold on. No, that's Mel Kiper Jr. started this already for us. I don't know how this man still has a job. Mel Kiper Jr. said that if you don't get Trevor Lawrence in this draft, just don't draft a quarterback. Because while Fields is good, he said that coming out of Duke, Daniel Jones would be the second best quarterback in this draft.
Yeah, that seems insane.
Yeah, now don't get me wrong. I like Daniel Jones. I was always, not always. Once we saw what he can do, I was a fan of it. And I know he was screwed this year without having Saquon, which made that entire offense fall to crap. But like, come on, bro. Like, Justin Fields, like, that is some hardcore disrespect.
Yes.
So yeah, and well, also that kind of leads to my next part of what I love is it's rumor mill season, because there's all these mock drafts coming out. There's Mel Kiper spouting nonsense, and then there's did you see this like 4-way trade people are predicting in the NFL for Deshaun Watson?
I did not. What is this?
Okay, so it is between the I have to see if I can remember. I wish I wrote this down. The Jets, the Texans, the Niners, and the Seahawks. Because the Niners and the Seahawks are going to trade with each other.
Yeah.
All in all, what would it be? The 49ers would end up trading away Nick Bosa and 2 firsts and get Deshaun Watson. The Seahawks trade away Russell Wilson, get Nick Bosa, Jimmy Garoppolo. Oh yeah, and they trade away Jimmy Garoppolo also, because who the hell wants Jimmy Garoppolo? Right. And a first. The Texans get like Sam Darnold and something, and clearly the Jets get something and something. It was like,
has there ever been even a 3-way trade in the NFL?
Probably not. But like I love the fact that we're just like, what's the weirdest thing I could think of right now? And that's what season we're in right now. What's the weirdest thing I could think of right now? And you have a voice because you hit tweet and people see it.
Yep. I would love that if that happened, though. A 4-way trade. That would just be insanity.
I gotta be honest. I love Russell Wilson. Like, he's my quarterback.
There's no way they're getting rid of him, right?
First of all, his contract is disgusting. Second of all, that dude is like the face of Seattle for the last decade and the decade going forward. It would be more than football getting rid of Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
But honestly, like, for the good of Russell Wilson, I hope they do. Like, I want him to go to a team that will actually use him instead of every year saying they have to establish the run this year.
He is Mr. Unlimited.
Unlimited. And for like 6 games, he was, but the Seahawks always have a way of bringing him down, and it's really super frustrating. So, while I, as a Seahawks fan, don't want to see Jimmy Garoppolo in a Seahawks jersey, I think I said A, right? So, B, don't want to see Russell Wilson. Oh, yeah, Russell Wilson went to the Jets, I think it was. Oh, I get to see him play more often, at least. Like, at least that's something,
there you
right?
go.
Yeah, like, it's just, it would be crazy to me. Just
what would happen to DK if Jimmy Garoppolo was his quarterback? Yeah, so much D's for the DK as wide receiver 1.
Oh my god. So that's why I love this day and age in the non-point scoring season, because that's why I love the non-point scoring season in general, because nothing's real. And that makes it so much more fun, because it all becomes about what you think versus what everyone else thinks, plus what that guy thinks, plus what all those guys up there think, which influences what all these people down here think.
And it's going to get even better as we get into March. I think free agency doesn't start till mid-March this year, so there's going to be tons of rumors flying around.
17th. Oh, it doesn't. Remember when it mattered? Like, remember when like coaches used to get fined for collusion when they just said, "I like this guy."
Now McVay's having dinner with Stafford when he gets traded or something. I think.
Yeah, and like, and there's an official trade in February. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, they're not even. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad they're not trying anymore. But like, don't pretend to have rules if you're not even going to bother.
It was always dumb to begin with, because everybody was doing it, and everybody knew everybody was doing it, but it was supposed to not be according to the rules. But everybody did it anyway.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So there's so much going on, but then there's absolutely nothing going on at the same time. So in that nothing going on, but something going on, I did read something that was sort of scary. I'm just going to say it. There is the thought that the Texans don't seem to want to trade Deshaun Watson, which sucks for Deshaun Watson. Yes. But that may lead to Deshaun Watson holding out, which, you know, like it's a power play, it's a negotiation thing, I know. But I read that he can hold out until week 10 for this season to count towards a season towards free agency. So we may have like another Lev Bell situation, though I guess Lev Bell sat out the entire year, right? But like, I don't think like Deshaun Watson might not play until week 10. And while, go buy Deshaun Watson now, because regardless of what team he goes to, he will be worth more. That's going to sting if you just don't get to use him for most of the season. So I guess unless you survive until week 10, and then all of a sudden you get Deshaun Watson back.
Yeah, that'll be nice. I know our boy Dustin has been worried about this. He actually, I forget if he actually did trade him or he was looking to trade him in one of our leagues, because he's worried about the Watson holdout. I tend to doubt he will do it, just because it will cost him a ton of money. But the more, as you were saying it, the more I'm thinking about it, though, it's not quite the Lev Bell situation, because Deshaun Watson's going to play 10 more years and he's going to get paid. It's not like Lev Bell is losing a year of his career and he's only got 1 or 2 good ones left after that. So if anybody could do it, a young quarterback could do it. So, and like you said, he comes back week 10, he still gets to go to free agency. So maybe it's more real than I've been thinking.
And I don't know if it's the naivety in me or just my brain not working in certain ways that are correct. Like, this never entered my mind until I read it, I think yesterday or today on Twitter. And I'm just like, oh crap. Like, that's kind of a big deal. Like, Deshaun Watson holding out is a big deal. But on this point, there's no real fantasy players for it to be hurting on the Texans, right?
That's
You're
true.
a little sad for Brandon Cooks, but that's about it. And you weren't really super depending on him in the first place.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And they definitely, I mean, it could be posturing on the Texans' part to saying they're not going to trade him to make sure they drive up to the offers that they get.
Absolutely. And it's the same thing where this is just a power play by Watson's camp. I put leaking this stuff out there because then, Texans are just sort of stuck doing nothing, where they could have gotten something and then the trade deadline passed and they have to wait for longer to get something, where it's, I don't know. I look forward to it and I hate it. It's such a weird. This is why I'm getting the itch, man. Like, I need something real, something in front of me, and later, not yet. We have something to say, but just not quite yet. I want to first talk about trades. Weird, right?
Trades are good.
Just trades. So there's tons of trade polls. I get a bunch of DMs saying, what do you think about this trade? What do you think about that trade? And I'm still, to this day, we've been doing this podcast for just about 3 years. And I have been screaming this every non-point scoring season, yet people, I was about to say maybe I need to scream louder, but I'm not actually going to scream because I don't want to piss off the microphone and everyone listening. But let me say it in a very stern voice. It's February. You do not need to worry about positional strength in trades. You do not have to give up value because you're weak at running back 2. Running back 2 isn't a thing in February. We are 7 months from having to set a starting lineup. I lost all authority on that, right? Just because of that. But we are so far from having to set a lineup. So much is going to happen by then. Like, you can go and trade for like Myles Gaskin as like, oh, I'm weak at RB2. Let me go get Myles Gaskin. Oh, wait, the Dolphins draft Travis Etienne. And then, oh, you wasted a trade or whatever you were sending out. And it's just like, It's so far away from any of that like mattering that all you need to worry about in trades right now is value. And like I said before, the reason I love the non-point scoring season is because value's completely made up. No points are being scored. So it is all just how you feel about a guy, how you feel about everyone else feeling about that guy, all of that mashed together into a consensus value. And that's where you get to have fun, because I'm sure there's a question I'm going to spoil, but like right now, I love the idea of going and trading for DJ Moore. And I know you do too. Because
Definitely.
that dude is like such disrespect on that guy's name right now, who all he's done is in 3 years. Like, first of all, he's only been in the league for 3 years. It feels like he's been here forever. Like, I just feel like we talk about him so much that he's just been here forever. But he put up over 1,000. Like, everyone is so convinced he had such a bad year, but he put up over 1,000 yards with Teddy freaking Bridgewater.
Yeah.
Not to mention, there's a good chance Curtis Samuel's leaving, which frees up targets. And I'm not going to start talking about vacated targets, but I'm going to talk about the fact that DJ Moore is damn good. So he's going to earn those targets. And if all things point to what we think they are going to, they got to scale back Christian McCaffrey after this past year. Definitely. I mean, I'm sure there's some aspect of it that was just them shelving him because they know they're bad. So why risk that investment in getting him hurt? But that dude can't keep going on with 99% snap counts. It's just inhuman. I mean, is the best way I could think to, like, it's unsafe. Humans shouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, and with DJ Moore, I mean, he had almost the same season this past year as he had in 2019. And everybody considered it I guess because we were all hoping for more, everyone considered it a down season. And and then one of the biggest issues with him is the TDs. And I still believe I don't think there's any reason he can't score in the 7, 8, 9 touchdown range like a lot of receivers do. They just need to get a better offense. They need a better quarterback. They haven't had good quarterbacking since he's been there, basically.
And speaking of ridiculous mock drafts, I saw one that had Justin Fields falling to 8 where the Panthers are.
Yeah. Maybe.
There you go. Just that one also, I think I bitched about this one already. That one also had the 49ers drafting
that's
Pitts.
Kyle Pitts. Yeah. Just would kill Pitts' value and kill Kittle's value.
Or think about it the other way. It would kill Ayuk and Tebow's, and it is the 2 tight end show. Like, they won't even bother putting wide receivers out there. It's going to be a split backfield, split tight ends, and the rest just offensive linemen.
There you go.
Sometimes they'll put a quarterback out there, but it's probably Jimmy Garoppolo. So does that even count?
Probably not.
So long, far away from where I started. Don't worry about positional strength in February. Don't worry about starting lineups. Zachary's in the chat joking about What if I don't have a third wide receiver and the top 10 tight ends? We don't know what the top 10 right tight ends are right now anyway. I mean, Hunter Henry's going to be on the move. I mean, I never asked the question, is TJ Hawkinson screwed now? Like, Goff didn't really super always use the tight ends in LA, not in St. Louis. We'll get to that a little later, but like there's so much going on that we don't know. Gerald Everett, speaking of the Rams, like he's a free agent tight end also. Like so much is going to change. Not to mention there's a bunch of good tight ends in this draft. And I mean, it's not going to be quite like whatever year that was. Well, let's just get closer to Hawk and fans, where they were top 10 before they were drafted. I mean, Pitts probably will be, but I mean, I doubt Freiermuth or Brevin Jordan will be. But like, if the Jaguars like grab one of those two in the second round, that puts him top 10. Like Trevor Lawrence's tight end that they took in the second round,
definitely.
Like, with how crappy the tight end position is in general, like that puts him as a top 10 to me. So like there's so much can happen. Like, and like I just always make the line like some dude can slip on a banana peel and just like, what was it? Like Dave Garrard like fell by the pool and broke his leg.
Yeah.
Like he was playing with his kids.
Garrard.
I mean, take that name.
I know.
Like it's so far away to care about. Well, not to care about. Well, yes, also to care about, but like to believe you know what you're talking about when we don't really know what we're talking about in the first place, but to know what you're talking about 7 months from now.
Yeah, I'm with you on this. It's like you always say, we're not setting lineups in February, and even with the way I handle quarterbacks, I have not a bunch, but multiple teams where I have issues at quarterback. If you're looking at it right now, but I'm not worrying about that yet. Yeah. I'm not getting desperate for a quarterback in February, and I'd actually rather, because of what you just said, we don't know. It's especially a quarterback this year. We don't know what's going to happen. So the only trades I have made, I think I mentioned on the show before, I picked up a couple of Kirk Cousins guys I am sure that are going to be starters, but in general, yeah, I'm not even worrying about. I mean, I have teams with like Bridgewater and Breeze and one other crappy guy or something like that because of how I handle quarterback. And I'm willing to wait on that and just try and get the right deal. The other thing I will say about that though, is I do like trying to use that because I still think, despite what me and you are saying, that a lot of people do worry about that.
No, February. Absolutely. They absolutely do. And that's what drives me nuts.
But you can use it to your advantage.
Oh, well, yeah, but still, like, I don't like it when other people are wrong. As long as I'm right, I guess I don't care. But let me ask you a question, see if I could put this in another way. When you're drafting in a startup, do you care about filling a starting lineup? Like, do you all right, well, I just drafted 3 wide receivers, so I probably should draft a running back here. Like, does that actually enter your mind when you're drafting?
I'm not going to say it never enters my mind, but I try not to do that. Yeah, I mean, I'm basically kind of like your former co-host. I'm basically in drafts. I'm always a value guy. I never go in on anything positionally. Like I have to go heavy running back early. I have to go heavy wide receiver early. I just go with guys I think are the value. Sometimes for me that's older guys because I'm not ageist and they often drop. But it doesn't matter to me position. No, and the only thing is maybe obviously in a super flex draft. Just making sure, once,
quarterbacks,
especially the way I handle it, that I make sure I at least get 2 and hopefully 3 before they start petering out. But other than that, I just go for the value because trade addicts, we can always trade if we have good players, we can trade them for the positions that we need them.
Draft for value, trade for need. I mean, that's what we've been saying since the beginning of the show. I'm just trying to say it's another perspective where I think if you are giving up value in a draft because you're like, I need a running back to, I've drafted 3 wide receivers. I need to draft a running back here to make sure I have a good running back. And you're, passing up on like freaking George Kittle sitting there just because you need to get the RB 15, 17 because RBs are going off the board. Like, to me, that's just not great. Like, I mean, that's just not suboptimal. There you go. There's a word that sounds professional and is not insulting whatsoever. So I love it. There you go.
Especially if you're talking RBs, because after a certain point, they're just You're just drafting a bunch of crap anyway. So
I mean, that's pretty much that. I mean, that is what I do. Yes, mostly I just draft a bunch of young people and crap. That's my
but wait
RB.
longer on the crap. Don't just draft crap because you think you need a running back.
Exactly. I mean, that's kind of what we're starting to do.
Do you treat rookie drafts this? I'm assuming you do. You treat rookie drafts the same way. You're just going best player available.
Always
Or,
best player
yeah,
available. Yeah, I mean, best value available, because let's face it, sometimes the quarterback is still more valuable than the good running back and wide receiver.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the unfortunate truth of the Superflex rookie drafts. But while we're talking about startup drafts, Nick Martinez in the chat, in a startup, do you draft QBs differently in 6-point versus 4-point touchdowns? I feel like we talked about this recently, but we're going to do it again anyway. No, I think I talked about it with John Hogue. If you haven't listened to, we've called it the sweet spot. John and I do a commissioner show on the Superflex City stream. To me, the only difference between 4-point and 6-point is guys like Dak Prescott, Cam Newton, like guys that don't run for a lot of yards but run for a lot of touchdowns, because the reason they're good in 4-point passing touchdowns is because you get more points for those rushing touchdowns. But if we're just talking about total touchdowns, it doesn't matter anymore with 6-point passing touchdowns. Like, you're going to want Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers 38 to 50 touchdowns because it's 6 points per touchdown anyway, as opposed to Dak or Cam, who are going to throw for 20 something and then run for 6 to 10. Like, it's safer to get those passing touchdowns you're going to get. And then let's face it, with Aaron Rodgers and with Patrick Mahomes, of course, I'm talking these top tier guys. That's right, John Hogue, top tier guy. You're going to get a couple of rushing touchdowns also, but nowhere near what you would. So does it change? Barely. Like, not very much. Like, I'm not going to change like Josh Allen, who God knows what he does anymore, but like, he gets a lot of yards anyway. So that's the real valuable part of his, Konami Code-esque, point getting. But like, quarterbacks that don't rush for a lot of yards, but you're depending on their rushing touchdowns, those are the guys that it affects. But like, does that make Dak not a top 5 quarterback? I mean, probably not. So I guess, saying that out loud and going down this, whatever my brain just did, no, I don't really change too much. It makes me want quarterbacks faster because it makes it more valuable to get the better quarterback. Like, there are times I agree with Rocky where sometimes, depending how drafts fall, you might as well just wait on quarterback for a while. But if we're talking 6-point tight ends, I want Patrick Mahomes on my team. Like, I want that dude that we can count on to throw 35 to 50 touchdowns a season.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I mean, I still tend to I don't treat it any differently, 6-point or 4-point either. I might ignore it even more than you do. I still think within the position, there's still guys that are going to have up weeks and down weeks. And you can often predict who those, when those weeks are going to come. People much smarter than me have shown that quarterback performance is much more predictable than a lot of the other positions based on matchup and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, I think within the position, it doesn't generally make that much of a difference, 6-point or 4-point. Everybody's getting 6 points. So I don't worry about it. I generally like to make my own rankings before a startup. And if it's 4-point or 6-point, I don't move anybody around at all. Even like you said, it does affect guys like Lamar and Dak. Well, even Lamar, like you said, because he runs for so much. It's more the guys like Dak and Cam, like you said. But yeah, I'm with you. Basically, you basically said it pretty well.
Savi just dropped in the chat and said, "My hummus." Hello. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's supposed to be humans or there's a really weird autocorrect. But we are now hummus.
That's us.
Yeah, damn straight. Okay, so Rocky, what do you want to do next? You want to do some listener questions or jump into TA trades?
Let's go to listener questions.
Cool. All right, so let's scroll down. Our first one at Slickwick13. I have the 101. Should I sell it to move back to 102 and receive more picks, or is the move to hold because the top tier drops to Fields that great? Because the tier drop to Fields is that great. Ugh, reading is not my strong suit. Why the hell are we doing this live? Like I would edit it if we weren't anyway.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm going to say Andrew Luck came into the league as the best prospect we've seen since Peyton Manning. He was top of the startup drafts in Superflex right away. He was top of rookie drafts, and he was awesome. He was great. It's not like he was the number one QB for 4 years in a row or anything. Like, Joe Burrow was awesome. Tua is awesome. Justin Herbert freaking crushed. Like, again, we like to think we know what we're talking about, and we do know. And okay, I'm not comparing Burrow and Herbert to Lawrence and Fields or any of that crap. Like, no one actually takes me at my word anyway, so I don't know why I feel the need to correct myself. Like, no one's going to argue with a dude named Outhouse. So I feel like I insulated myself to that. If you can get someone who wants Trevor Lawrence, who's just like, I need that 101, I need those long flowing locks on my team. If you can get a good jump in between the two, hold on. I'm in the middle of a mock draft that John Hogue is running for DLF. At least I think it's for DLF. Maybe he's just running for fun. I have absolutely no idea. But it has the actual players in it. Trevor Lawrence went at 112, and Justin Fields went at pick 17. He went 5 picks later. But I think the perception is a much bigger gap between the two. So if you can get an extra first round pick or two, I would honestly do that, because let's be honest. Either Fields or Wilson are getting drafted pretty darn early. Like, all of them probably are. There's going to be one good landing spot you like for one of these guys. I was about to say I haven't done research. I don't research. I haven't listened to enough podcasts yet to know the big difference between, like, you know, these second tier guys. But there's going to be one you like. There's going to be one that lands at a good spot. So if I am holding the 101 and someone comes at me with the 102 and like 106, which means I can get Justin Fields and maybe not like Rondale Moore or Devonta Smith, Jalen Watt, maybe ETN falls because people are just drafting quarterbacks. Or hell, trade back to the 103 and you have Harris or ETN at the 3 and you go grab Zach Wilson at the 6. Like, this is such a good draft to move around. And like I said before, just because Lawrence is this, he even has the locks to be the second coming. But just because, like, we know he's that great doesn't mean he's going to be the highest fantasy producer for the next 3 years. Like, we don't know that. So taking a good bet on one of these other guys who lands in a good spot, to me, is super worth getting those extra dart throws. I won't say it's something you have to do, because I completely understand wanting Trevor Lawrence. But I would not blame anyone if you can get good other pieces. Why could I not think of the words? Like, if you can get good other pieces in that trade, I would absolutely do it.
Yeah, I wish I could disagree with you more, but I'm gonna say.
But I'm just so damn good, dude. There's no disagreement with me. Like I said, you don't argue with a dude named Outhouse.
I'm gonna say I'm okay with trading down from quarterback. Oh, yeah. So, but yeah, especially with a guy like Fields, who's got the rushing ability, who could be, for all we know, he could be an even better fantasy producer than Trevor Lawrence, if he's just close in the passing stuff. So. Yeah, I'm definitely fine with that. Also, I would definitely move down to 102. Like you said, I'm not saying you have to. I have some 101s that I'm not really anxious to trade, but if someone gave me enough, I would definitely move down just from 101 to 102. And I think the move is, everyone says this, but it's true, is that wait until even closer to the draft. And I think Lawrence is getting some doubters now a little bit, or some Justin Fields hype is also coming on. But I think as we get closer, the Lawrence hype will build again, and everyone will be all hyped to draft him. So get closer to the draft, maybe you can get even more with Lawrence than with Fields or 102 than you would now, or whoever the 102 is. Maybe it's Zach Wilson. I don't know.
Having patience is always the right answer, but it's never an answer I can give.
I'm never good at it either.
Okay, so a few things. Savi in the chat did say he meant to say humans, and he also firmly believes that Wilson will go get drafted ahead of Fields in the NFL.
I actually agree with that too. From everything you're seeing from the mock drafts and things like that, from the NFL people, they seem to think that Zach Wilson is going ahead of Fields.
Yeah. And I just want to put in here, I'm going to try and remind you throughout the show that you hear us talking about all of these people in the chat. Usually this is just for our patrons. So patreon.com/tradeaddictspod. You can get this experience every single week. You can get my pregame stretch, a little pre-show banter. Like that time I accidentally
see Rocky drinking Yinglings.
Yeah, at least 3 or 4, and then you get to see him take a pee break and not think it's just me talking like I normally always do.
And I will be doing that, Russ. You're gonna have to just rant for like 2 minutes while I go do that.
I'm gonna have to find hold on to a good question for that. like yeah, give me a sign like 2 minutes, and I'm like, all right, okay. I'll get the next question's gonna be a good one. Speaking of good questions, from @MattPriceFF, we've met him before. If you were a cookie, what kind of cookie would you be?
So I put some thought into this when I saw this one because it was one of the first questions we got to the thread, and my daughter's a Girl Scout, and this year they got rid of one of. I'm not sure if this is nationwide or just near me, but they got rid of a cookie called the Thanks a Lot, which is like a shortbread with chocolate coating, which has been around for a few years. I thought was pretty popular, but they got rid of that one and brought in a French toast cookie, which was which was interesting, but kind of a weird choice, I thought. But then I tasted it, and it is amazing. I mean, it helps that I love French toast, but it's a little bit of a weird choice for a cookie, I thought. But so I related it to the pod that I'm the new cookie coming in, replacing the old cookie that's been around for a few years, and but. Maybe, like I said, maybe a little bit of a different, unexpected choice, but once you surprisingly good once you get a taste of me. So I'm the French toast Girl Scout cookie.
So you heard him. Go get a taste of Rocky. So 2 things I'll say about that. I've never heard of that cookie before. That first one, the Thanks a Lot. Never heard of that before.
It's a shortbread with chocolate coating on the back. Kind of, it's good.
I like the regular shortbread cookies. I completely blanking on what they're called. But also, Panera has a French toast bagel, and it's freaking fantastic.
I'm not really a bagel guy, but you say French toast with anything, I'll give it a try.
And especially because, I mean, you toast that with some butter on it and just...
So what kind of cookie are you, Russ?
Okay, so I also put way too much thought into this. And... I think I'm an oatmeal raisin cookie. Hear me out. People like oatmeal raisin cookies are like hard for defending them like people that not everyone likes me, but the people that do like me are like friends, like we're good people. And then there's some people who just like, oh man, Dynasty Outhouse, what's this about? Oh, I thought these were chocolate chips. This is raisins. Never mind. This just isn't my deal. Like, so there's like the back and forth between, I think I'm good. I like oatmeal raisin cookies, and that's what's important. I like me. But also like it's pretty much like a give and take. There's times where I am awesome, I am good, and then there's times where just not right. Like sometimes like I'm a soft cookie fan. Let's put that out there. There's you have to be in the mood for a crispy chocolate chip cookie, but otherwise I want mushy cookies all the time.
I'm with you.
But like sometimes you take a bite and you're like, oh, this is a crunchy cookie. This wasn't my deal. Because I get it. I am not.
Even your Oreos, they're best when you dunk them in the milk and they get all mushy.
By the way, you know the fork thing, right? You stick the fork into the cream and you drop the thing into the milk. That way.
No, I did not know that.
Oh, life-changing. Life-changing. So yeah, that's our cookie. Let's move on to the next. We already brought up Herbert, and we brought up Herbert last week. So let's get into Adam TZ's question. Are we selling Herbert? Are we okay? Y'all selling someone like Herbert? Most owners got him for a good price in rookie drafts, and now he's worth a lot because that's not the words he used. QB6 an exclamation point. So hold on, I want to pull up this mock draft again.
You know I am because I did.
Yeah, I know. We're absolutely going to bring that up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He was QB7 in this John Hogue led mock draft. Real quick, just let's put up. He was pick 8. Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson at 2, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, Christian McCaffrey, Justin Herbert, and then Saquon Barkley after that. So I remember we were talking before about CMC and Barkley going at the end of the firsts. Here, I mean, that's pretty much, we'll call that the middle, right? And then, of course, John Hogue took Aaron Rodgers at 10. Yes, and it's awesome to see both Nick Martinez in here. And Cinnamon Toast Crunch is the 101 of cereals. I will not have a discussion about that. So I really should have pulled up our trade because I don't actually remember what it was. But last week, I was doing my Twitter challenge where I say, send me an offer, I'll put it on Twitter. If the side you're offering me wins, I'll accept the trade. And, it's in the wrong freaking year. So Rocky,
you trying to pull up the trade? I think I remember it.
Yeah, I hit the wrong button, but whatever. So I'm just going to ramble until it's time to actually start talking about the trade. So many people don't realize that this isn't a, hey, let me send a crappy offer and see if it just goes through. What you do is you take advantage of your values versus everyone else's. These players that everyone on Twitter loves, and maybe you're not that high on, which we know Rocky loves his later quarterbacks. And
I also wasn't as high on Akers as I think the community is, which helped with that trade.
Right. Okay. So the trade was Justin Herbert and Marvin Jones. We can't forget Marvin Jones. I forgot him once, and I feel bad about it. So Justin Herbert and Marvin Jones for Kirk Cousins, Cam Akers, and Curtis Samuel. Now, I believe this poll ended like 57-43. Like, it was close, but your side definitely won. And it's funny, like, someone asked, like, would you have just accepted this if this was sent to you anyway? Like, if this wasn't this deal? And I sat there staring for a while. I'm just like, I don't think I'd be able to stop myself at buying Justin Herbert at something that I'm not super upset with giving up. Kirk Cousins is good. Like, he does, like, I feel like that's going to be your guy. Like, now that, Ben and, Brady's coming back for one more year, but like Breeze is gone, Rivers is gone. Like, you lost a lot of those older guys. Kirk Cousins is now the guy getting no respect, and he's not up there in age like those other guys are, but you're going to start drafting him around the same place as like,
and I think,
he
is in his he's 30 something now, isn't he? 31, something like that.
I mean, hey, I am looking at his name. Let's just click the button. 32.
Yeah, and
he'll be 33 going into the season.
Everyone,
that's ridiculous. If you
even
think
when he was in his 20s, nobody ever liked drafting Kirk Cousins or acquiring Kirk Cousins. So
yeah, so
I'm surprised it took me this long to get around to making him one of my guys. But yeah.
So yes, especially if it's a guy that you're not as high on, why not? Like, take advantage of the market. That's what it's there for. I mean, that's what you try. I always say this backwards when I try and say too fast. Buy low, sell high. There you go. Like, sell high. Why not? You have this Justin Herbert that, let's face it, sophomore slump is a thing. New coach, new offensive coordinator. I still think he's going to be freaking awesome because he still has a great receiving core around him. Mike Williams is going to be a thing this year. I'm telling you, this is his year. Hashtag Team Cleanse, big wide receiver. Let's do it. So absolutely, like, and I mean, you got Cam Akers in the deal, but you flipped him right away because you said right away that you were not as high on Akers as everyone else was. So I was going to try and get him back, but
yeah, and
I was not
pretty happy with how it turned out. We'll talk about that, I guess, when we get into the trades, though.
Well, do you have anything else to say on this question, or should we just jump straight to that trade?
Yeah, we can do that. I got nothing else on this. Although I will say it's not that I don't like Herbert. I'd rather trade down from quit. That's what I always do. So once I have a high end guy, I like to pick up other assets from them.
Yeah, me too. Also, but again, I like having at least a share or two of everyone, and I don't know. I think I may have left the league of the one league I had Herbert in, so I wanted another one anyway, and this wasn't really my choice. I had to take it. Yeah, but I haven't tried to move him yet. I probably will at some point. I mean, I got one offer. I think I was just like,
And
but
especially with me in that league, I had Mahomes too. So if I have two of them, there's no way I'm holding on to both high end
oh
quarterbacks.
my god, yeah, I mean, that's how I ended up with no shares of Deshaun Watson. Like he was my most owned quarterback for a while, but I'm just like, let me trade back a little bit. Let me trade back a little bit, and I ended up with so much Daniel Jones and Josh Allen. Josh Allen half worked out,
Yeah.
but I now have no Deshaun Watson, and it's going to happen with Mahomes. It's might even happen with Josh Allen now because man, he's going early.
And
I'm gonna probably try.
Mahomes
Okay.
for me is the one guy that I haven't really traded down from. I just to me he's the exception to the rule. I mean I would. There's no one I'm ever not going to say I'm not going to trade, but
Yeah.
I've never gotten an offer for Mahomes that I feel comfortable moving in because he's the one I'm wanting for like 2 straight years. So
Yeah.
you want the world for him, and most people don't want to give up the world for anybody. So
Yeah, and I actually did once in the Dynasty Trades HQ1 listener league. It was before last year. I can't remember how long ago it was. Maybe been 2 years ago at this point. But what was I saying? I traded away Mahomes for Josh Allen, and I think it was 2 firsts, which of course I traded the first. I didn't even make the picks, but yeah. And again, I think I just got lucky with how well that worked out. But also, it was a 16-team super flex, and my team, I did not do well in that draft. So I needed the pieces. It worked out. I can't say it worked out well because I haven't won yet. I've come in like 2nd to 4th place in the past 3 years, but I think my team was better for it. And usually with quarterbacks, that's what you could do, right? I mean,
it's funny too. Mahomes is actually one of the few guys I've traded up for. And it worked out brilliantly for me. I think you probably listened to it the week you weren't on with Garrett.
Yeah.
I mentioned I traded Andrew Luck in a first.
Oh yeah.
I was in a league where I had like 7 firsts at the time too, and then I did the outhouse challenge and lost most of them. But
my bad.
But yeah, I traded Andrew Luck in a first, and that was the off season for Mahomes, and that was I think the off season that he retired in like August or whatever. So it worked out pretty well for me.
All right, well, I'm sad talking about Andrew Luck, so we're going to move on. Trade Addicts trades, Trade Addicts leagues, 12-team superflex, PPR, tight end premium, 1.75 points for tight end reception, 0.05 points for return yardage, and all except TA1 because there is a TA1 trade this week. About damn time, right? So the trade you made for Cam Akers. So Cam Akers, the 303, 22 second, 23 first for Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, and this to me was just most of those picks. We had a lot of discussion about this in the Cool Kids Club about 23 first, but at 23 first, I don't care much about. 303 is thirds are whatever, and a 22 second. I mean, basically the only piece I really care about in there is Cam Akers. So, and I'm using some picks I don't really mind moving to upgrade to Dalvin Cook. I think I have a chance to do some stuff in this league, so we'll see. But yeah, so I thought it made sense. I mean, Cook is obviously going to be a declining value from here on out. I'm aware of that, but the chance to upgrade to me, Cam Akers to Dalvin Cook is a massive upgrade for 2021. And as I've said, I'm not as high on Akers. I still think we're overvaluing the end of season.
I do that so much. Yes. I do that so much.
Oh,
and don't get me wrong, it got me Derrick Henry. Yeah. Oh God, I fell victim to that. Yes, but it also got me Derrick Henry, so I can't completely hate on it.
Yeah,
he always did so well at the end of the year.
I love Sony coming out, and then he had that huge end of season, especially the playoffs. He scored like 6 touchdowns in like 3 games, and I had way too much Sony. So yeah, I try to temper that, and a lot of that came for Akers while Darrell Henderson was hurt too, which people seem to ignore. They just think now Cam Akers has the job. I'm not sure that's the case. I think McVay likes now that Gurley's out of the picture. I think he kind of likes this idea of the hot hand and things like that. So maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. But it's funny too because I was higher than Akers on most coming out. I had it Taylor, Dobbins, and then Akers, Swift like 3A and 3B. But I just the way they've used him, and I don't trust McVay to just give him the job just because Gurley had it for years. So I love the idea of getting Dalvin for a year, and hopefully he brings me a title, and then I'll sell him for whatever I can get.
Damn straight. Okay, so yeah, I kind of agree with you on this. Like, I get that Dalvin Cook is a declining asset and Cam Akers is a rocketing asset, but yeah, you're getting so much. I think you're getting so many more points, and we both just kind of shrug at 23 firsts. I mean,
Yeah.
I pretty much will always sell that pick the second it shows up on the screen if it's worth it. And oh man, perfect transition. Hold on, let me show you where I thought it was worth it to sell my 23 first.
There you go.
Bam. Okay, so in Trade Addicts 1, I said we had a Trade Addicts 1 trade. I sold Devontae Adams, which felt weird. But I did sell Devontae Adams and the 23 first, second, and third for J.K. Dobbins and T. Higgins. Now, first of all, it was not fair that this guy dangled T. Higgins in front of me, and then J.K. Dobbins, who was my favorite running back coming in. So I pretty much probably would have said yes to almost anything he sent me. So I'm lucky that it wasn't that big of a deal. Now, Jim, I think, has bought every single one of my future draft picks the second they show up in the league. Like, he knows me like that well. He loves draft picks, and he knows that I don't care. and I've always said it too, that I'm willing to pay for the fact that I've seen these guys do it before. And T. Higgins, J.K. Dobbins, I think we have easily seen them do it before. And while Devontae Adams is my wide receiver 1, the community is insane and is devaluing him already because he's old. I think he's like 28. Like, that's ridiculous. Yeah. So to me, my team is good but not great, which means I'm not gonna. I went in on it last year when I shouldn't have, and I think I screwed my team over. I got lucky that you ended up coming in and we had to do a second chance dispersal because I was able to like take a step back a little bit. So I'm not rushing it with this team anymore. I know I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to get the younger guys, get the guys I like, and not be dumb. Well, too dumb, let's face it. I mean, I'm always going to do dumb things, even if I don't mean to. But I loved this trade. I was very happy to get 2 guys that I love, and I think I got good value on them too.
Yeah, I think you did too. I mean, I, in a vacuum, maybe lean the Devontae side just because I always look at it at the points. And I'm a little. I've been looking at Dobbins a little for Shameless Pug, an upcoming Dynasty Junkies episode. Check that out later. And even in his little push with that Ingram at the end of the season, he did not put up more than 18.5 PPR points. So I'm a little worried about him going forward. You know, he's. I think they're always going to want a Gus there, even if it's not Gus. And Lamar is going to steal carries and touchdowns. And I love T like you do. But I still love getting those points for at least a couple more. I still think Adams is going to be good, probably through age 30 or so, kind of like a Julio track. But like you said, he's going to continually lose value. Even as he puts up great seasons, he's going to lose value just because he's 29 and 30. So I think value-wise it works, and I think you said I don't remember exactly what your team looks like there, but you're trying to make it younger. I think the value is okay. I think the value is okay. So, and like you said, I don't worry about the 23 first, second, and third. So I care even less about 23 seconds and thirds. So I think you got good value. I just, like I said, I worry a little bit about Dobbins going forward, but I love T. Maybe T can become something 80% of Devontae. So we'll see.
He will become something. Let me just put that out there. But yeah, this was me going for my guys because Dobbins and
I love Dobbins, the NFL player. I'm just worried about him from a fantasy perspective.
I don't think it has nothing to do with think anymore. Like, we know that the Ravens are not going to workhorse a guy, but them letting go of Mark Ingram for seemingly no reason in the middle of the season. That rhymed. Made me feel better about Dobbins because I kind of want them to keep Gus Edwards because he's not really scary for Dobbins. He's good. He'll do well for the team, but I don't think he'll ever risk losing touches to Gus Edwards. So I'm completely fine if it's Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. And again, I've been buying Edwards, so I again would be happy if he stays there. So like I'm completely fine with that backfield. And
well, the other worry there too, though, is the pass catching, because not that Dobbins can't do it, but The Ravens don't want him to.
The Ravens don't do it. I mean, we were still thrilled with CEH going to the Chiefs, and the Chiefs don't throw to the backfield, even though we know CEH can catch. So if he can walk out of the season with 15, 20 catches, but still be super efficient in the running game, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. I just think his upside is capped. As Zach always likes to point out, you want those guys with the pass catching. And like I said, he has the ability. He showed that in college. I think he's definitely, if they would let him do it, I think he could be a monster. But that just doesn't seem to be part of their offense. I don't know if it's Lamar or just the scheme or what. But
I think it's the scheme. Like I feel like that offense is better than what it was last year. Like I think there's a combination of things that just led to them being meh. And you got to imagine that they are going to do something about it. Not necessarily, like, I don't know if they got rid of Greg Roman or not, but like they're going to do something to change something. Like they have to. Like it's just okay. That's a lie. Assuming rational GMing and coaching, I need to. I need to specify. Yeah. But I'm going to use this Davante Adams trade to transition into another Davante Adams trade because we have this beautiful chain of trades going. So in Trade Addicts 7. Davante Adams for Deontay Johnson and the 108. Now, this is your guy. So tell me, would you trade Davante Adams for Deontay Johnson in the 108, assuming your team is not very good? Well, no, screw it. It's February. We don't know what our teams are. So value-wise, Davante Adams or Deontay in the 108?
I did not think it was. I was surprised when I saw this one come through because I'm in that league.
Yep.
I saw the email pop up, and as much as I love Deontay Johnson, I think you need more than the 108 to get to Davante Adams. I mean, the 108 is after all those super elite guys that the guys we think are going to be super elite, the 2 or 3 quarterbacks you're going to draft, the Najee and ATN and Chase. I think after 6, especially, you start getting a little iffy. I mean, obviously the draft may change some of that, but I just think you need more. Deontay Johnson is maybe a mid to late first, and that's another mid to late first. That's not enough.
Yeah, so this is pretty much like the 108 and 109 for Davante Adams. I thought the exact same thing. Like to me, this was getting rid of Davante Adams because you wanted to get rid of Davante Adams. Like
right, that's exactly.
Like, this is getting scared of a declining asset, and so you just needed to get your team young. Like this made me feel better about my trade.
Yeah,
sorry to whoever did it.
Yeah, I get it. People, it's just something we talked about before. Is just this idea that you have to get rid of guys at peak value, and I don't necessarily agree with that when you're talking to a guy on Davante Adams level. So, a peak value for Julio would have been, like I said, a couple years ago, and now at this point, yeah, you're not getting much for him, and he's probably going to decline even in the points. And health and all that, but you missed out. If you traded him at like 28, you missed out on 3 years of like elite production. So,
yeah, exactly. Like, I don't think we are, but also like the age 30 cliff is for non-elite players, and Davante Adams is an elite player. Julio Jones is an elite player. Like, not to say that they won't fall victim to that, especially Julio Jones coming off of this injury-ridden year, but still. You're not supposed to bet on people being outliers, but there's certain guys that make it a little less risky of a bet. And to me, and like those players like Davante Adams makes it a little less.
Have already proven they're outliers too. So
exactly, yeah. Okay, so that I don't have any more fancy smooth transitions in our trades, so we're gonna go on to the next question from @FF Joe. Hey Joe, which vets would you trade for the 101 and vice versa? Okay, so let's pull up. No, we don't need ADP. I'm going to pull up this mock draft we're doing because I told you that he went Trevor Lawrence, which is, I mean, we're talking Superflex because that's what we do, and we're going to talk Trevor Lawrence as the 101 because, I mean, it's not like written in stone, but it's like written in some nice granite. I guess that is stone. Never mind. Something that's close to stone but not quite stone. I don't know. Okay. Let me find him. Jonathan Taylor or the 101?
I am going Jonathan Taylor.
All right, so this was the conversation we had a few weeks ago. Saquon Barkley or the 101?
I'm still going Saquon too.
All right. Joe Burrow or the 101?
Ooh. Um, I'm not sure. What's your answer on that one?
I love Burrow. I love that offense. It's gonna suck for the first few weeks that you don't have him back because I can't see him being ready and close to 100% by the beginning of the season. But are you shouldn't be counting on your rookie draft picks to perform right away, even though you're drafting. I don't know. I'm going to stick with Burrow, even though that's the wrong answer. I'm going to put it that way. Like if I have the 1-on-1 and I'm trading for Burrow, I'm going to get something on top.
I wanted you to answer to give me some time to stall, but I still haven't got a good. I think I think the upside of Lawrence is probably more than Burrow, so I'm gonna say 101 there.
Okay.
Especially
So
now that he has the injury and all that. So and he looked good, but we didn't see him be it. We didn't see him do what some of the things Herbert did in terms of huge fantasy production. He did well, but it's very close for me though.
okay. So this will lead into in the chat. Nick, one of the Nick Martinez's, asks, speaking of declining assets, where are we with Kamara with no Breeze? So Kamara or the 101?
I would say on that one, I've come over to Sidlow's side and would say 101.
It's wrong, but I'm gonna say 101. Like to me, it should be Kamara, and it's insane that because I'm not worried about Kamara, even if it is Taysom Hill, even if it's Jameis Winston. Sean Payton's going to impose his will on whatever quarterback is playing quarterback. And with a full offseason to learn what Sean Payton wants you to do, it's not going to be what we saw Taysom Hill do this year, where Kamara was kind of meh for a couple of games. Like they weren't ready for that. They're going to be ready for that coming into the season. So I am not worried about Kamara.
I'm worried a little bit. I mean, even though Breeze wasn't Breeze anymore, I still think with whoever they bring in, the offense is probably going to suffer a little bit just in general, which just brings him down overall because the offense won't be as good. There won't be as necessarily many touchdowns and things like that. And also their cap situation is awful. So who knows what that team is even going to look like? They could lose offensive linemen, not have much around him to take pressure off him. I assume Michael Thomas is still going to be there, but who knows what else. So I just think there's so much uncertainty in the whole New Orleans situation between the cap and the quarterback that I do worry about Kamara. I do think he can age well because he's not taking a huge workload and a lot of his work is through the passing game. So I think he could still have longevity. I just worry about the status of that offense going forward.
You make good points. I just don't care. Kamara's that good. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. All right, so I'm going to give you four names, a little bit more rapid than we were. Russell Wilson, Nick Chubb, Dalvin Cook, Devontae Adams.
Versus the 101?
Versus the 101.
101 over Wilson. 101 over Chubb.
Dalvin.
101 over Dalvin.
Wow.
And Adams is the one that's killing me because I would take Adams over the 101.
I took Adams at the 208 in this draft. See, like what we think real value is and like what value is out in the crazy world, like all four of those, maybe not Nick Chubb, but 3 out of the 4 of those are declining assets. I don't want Russell Wilson on any of my fantasy teams. I'm just going to throw it out. Like I'm a Seahawks fan and I'm going to say it. They're never going to let Russ cook for the entire season. He screws you over in the fantasy playoffs every single year. It's just the way it is. Nick Chubb, I love his cap. His ceiling is also capped by Hunt being there, even though he can just be awesome because that team wants to run the ball. They do run the ball. So I'm not insanely worried, but to me, the 101 is just more valuable. Dalvin Cook, I think he should be worth more than that. The problem is we've seen in our leagues, it's tough to move Dalvin right now.
And in another year, I might not say the 101 over Dalvin, but it's because we know 101 is Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, absolutely. This 101 is not other 101s.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, Devontae Adams, man, if I can get Devontae Adams plus for the 101, I'll do that all freaking day.
Yeah. Russell Wilson was the easiest one for me when you said that list of names. Because I'm like you, he's like you said, they never let him go nuts the whole season. He always seems to fade around playoff time. So, and Dalvin is the one that was a little tough, but I just think he's a 1 year asset, and I love him. I think he's going to give you a good 2021, and then we're probably going to start seeing his value certainly going to decline. But I just think we're going to start seeing the production decline after this coming year as well.
Okay. Joe is in the chat and he points out that Hunt is signed through 22 and Chubb is a free agent after 21. I think they re-sign Chubb. Like I think those two guys are their centerpieces of their offense. So I don't think I'm worried about that. And plus, Chubb is good enough that he's going to go somewhere that he is going to be awesome no matter where he goes. So Chubb's contract doesn't really worry me, but Hunt's, I guess, being there does a little bit because to me that caps.
Okay, Russ, I made it an hour. Do you have a question you can rant on?
Yeah, go.
I'll be right back.
Okay, so a question from at rrun13. Where are you looking to take Kyle Pitts in tight end premiums? Now, first, let me say that whenever I think of tight end premium, I think of the 1.75 that the trade addicts do. Usually it's 1.5. So I'm going to try and, well, I will talk about the 1.75 because that's just where my brain goes. And I'll try and throw in a little bit with if 1.5 because there is a difference, even though it's just that 0.25. So I pulled up February's DLF rookie ADP. Man, I don't know. So many letters in there that it's just my brain did not put them in the right order. Okay, so this is one quarterback. So the order is Najee Harris, Jamar Chase, Travis Etienne, Devonta Smith, and then Kyle Pitts is in there. And this is not tight end premium, and that's insane to me. So let's talk about this guys after this. Javonte Williams, who is some people is a top 2 running back for some people. I know Zach Reed was listening at some point. He likes him a lot more than consensus does. I love Rashad Bateman. I love Rondale Moore. Jalen Waddle is awesome. Man, even in 1 QB, Trevor Lawrence is top 10. But I think right in here is where we start talking about Kyle Pitts. Kind of in both, really, because let's read a couple of names after this. Like, to me, this is a huge tier break. Terrace Marshall, Kenneth Gainwell, who's a little higher in running back for a lot of people, but he fell a little to running back 4, just fell to number 12. Tylan Wallace, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Seth Williams, Elijah Moore, Jamar Jefferson. Like, to me, these guys, like, we've gone into dart throw territory. You might as well take a guy that even if it takes him a year to, like, if you're drafting Kyle Pitts, especially in the first, you can't trade him away because you think he's not living up to Kyle Pitts in the first year or two. Like, tight ends don't normally do well in the first 2 years. We get lucky with Evan Engrams, who, went nuts because there was no one else around him. George Kittle did real quick, but that, not to take anything away from Kittle, but the scheme absolutely helped Kittle be Kittle. Not too many tight ends do really well that fast. But I feel like in 1 QB, if you take away the quarterbacks, let's just say, by the time you hit that Rashad Bateman, Rondale Moore, Jalen Waddle, after that, I wouldn't even hate taking Trevor Lawrence first. Like, I mean, that's a little crazy in 1 QB. But, like, to me, after those, like, 10-ish guys, that's where Kyle Pitts falls. If it's not tight end premium, I think I take Kenneth Gainwell, Tylan Wallace, even Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like, there's something about the fact that, like, 3 of the St. Brown kids play wide receiver, and all 3 of them said Amon-Ra St. Brown is the best out of all of them. Like, okay, I'll take their word for it. I'm going to like him. Seth Williams, his stock fell, but he was really high up on boards before this season, and this season was weird. So I'm not really taking that too seriously. So in that mess right there, Kyle Pitts belongs. But the thing is, you're not going to get Kyle Pitts unless you take a little bit of a risk on it. So you have to find yourself in this wide receiver mess of Bateman, Moore, Waddle, Marshall, Wallace, and be like, where's my limit in this? Where do I not feel like I am making a suboptimal decision? I'm really going to start holding on to that word of passing over a wide receiver for taking a tight end. And that's the right spot right in there. Like, I know there's going to be drafts where Kyle Pitts goes. I mean, even here, he's number 5 overall in the 1 quarterbacks. I can't. I that does not compute. Like, I'm that GIF of R2D2 falling over that says does not compute. So, Rocky, now that you're seamlessly back into this conversation, where would you take Kyle Pitts in rookie draft, assuming it's tight end premium?
I think it sounds so it's probably around the same area. It sounds like you were saying, probably in the late first. Definitely somewhere in the midst of all those wide receivers. Kane Vassell has kind of convinced me that you don't want to be drafting those tight ends early, even in tight end premium. I believe he said he wouldn't even want to draft him in the first.
Yep.
I would probably be willing to do that, but I'm not doing it at like 106 or something like that. And
yeah,
you may have to in tight end premium because the hype for him is out of control. But I do like drafting him over a decent amount of the receivers. I might draft him a little earlier. I'm not sure where you fell there, but I do love getting elite tight ends. The only thing is he's probably not going to be an elite tight end for at least a year and 2 years, maybe. So
see, I mean, like, the thing is, someone's going to have to spend an early first-round pick in the NFL for him. So you have to assume they're going to try and get him involved right away. But again, we're assuming rational coaching. And I mean, even still, all of these highly drafted tight ends, I mean, Ingram only got what he was because of the injuries around him. Ebron took like 6 years to hit.
Hawk was a high pick too, right?
Yeah, and I mean, he's done okay, but he hasn't been great. Like,
and he was not good at all his rookie year. I mean, he had injury issues, but still.
Yeah, sure. And the same thing with Fant. I mean, but you know, Kittle was in those drafts also, and he killed it. But I mean, also remember, go back a couple of years to the. Oh, I hit a weird button. I don't know what's going on. Like the Njoku and OJ Howard draft. Like, people spent first round picks on these guys and pushed. Well, I think that was the draft where they pushed Juju into the middle of the second. I mean, how silly do you feel now?
Yeah, I mean, I'd start probably in the 108 to 110 ranges where I'd probably be thinking about him.
Yeah, that's around where I was. I'm a little closer to the 110 for sure.
Yeah. Because, yeah, I like, you know, from what I know, from like you, I'm a lot like you. I try to look at these guys some, but a lot of my knowledge, quote unquote, is from listening to other people talk about them.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And, you know, I like Bateman a lot from what I'm hearing, and Moore's up there, and some other guys. So right in that's right after Chase and Smith. Once you get into that group of receivers is where I start thinking about Pitts.
Okay, so let's move on to. Yeah, let's do it. Let's keep doing. We have 3 listener questions and I think 2 trades left. So let's just keep going through the listener questions. At Tacit Assassin 13, is there a player outside of the DLF ADP's top 100 that you are trying to acquire? That question is for Rocky. For Russ, why is it Quintez Cephas? Okay, so my friends have no chill, and they completely call me out whenever they see me doing this. I'm in multiple leagues with too many people. Like Casey Kasem also. She's like, what is it with Cephas that you're doing right now? Look, I get it. Goff's not great, but the Lions are in a complete rebuild, so there's a chance they don't bring back Golladay and they don't bring back Marvin Jones, in which case all they have is Hawk and Quintez Cephas. So while their offense won't be very good, you could still have a decent wide receiver 2 or 3 year just because there's no one else. And he did pretty well the first few weeks where he was, you know, Marvin Jones started a little slow, and Cephas for the first 2 games that Golladay was out caught a lot of passes. And again, that doesn't matter at all anymore. New coach, new offensive coordinator, new quarterback. So who the hell knows? But it's so free. Did I trade for him in any of the trade addicts leagues? Not this week. So yes, I'm all about trading for Quintez Cephas, but I also can say I am trading for. We talked about this last week for sure. I talked about the Johnsons, Tyler and Colin Johnson. In Trade Addicts 4, I traded the 404 and a 22 third for Tyler Johnson. Because if they don't bring back Godwin, wrong Geo name. Like, if they don't bring back Godwin, someone's going to have to be the wide receiver 2 there. And Scotty Miller is a slot guy. He's Scotty Miller. Tyler Johnson's good. Like, I don't know if we ever found out why he fell the way he did. Like, I think it was him that just decided, like, wasn't invited to the Senior Bowl for some reason. Mm-hmm. Like, I can't even, like, things melt together after a while. But like for the 404 and a 22 third, take a risk of a guy that again could have a wide receiver threes have a place on your dynasty team. Like if you're starting more than 9 players, which you should, I left the league because you only started 9. To me, it just got a little boring. Like if you're starting 10 players, once the bye weeks, once the injuries hit, you're going to need these guys on your team, especially if you're weird and you like running backs, because like if you're starting 3 or 4 running backs, that means you waited on wide receiver, which means you need some of those lower end guys to hit. And someone that can give you 8 to 12 points every single week has a place on your team, especially if you're starting 12 guys.
Yeah.
So that's me.
And I have no issue with yours. When I was looking at it, I looked at the 1 QB ADP to make it a little harder on myself because there's definitely it's deeper. Yeah, just to kind of go a little deeper. The one that stuck out immediately for me was Brian Edwards at 113.
Yeah,
I loved him coming out. Loved the profile. I do have a little concern just because historically, wide receivers who don't do much year one generally don't pan out. But he did have injury issues. As an Eagles fan, I can't believe Nelson Aguilar continues to be a thing if he's still even there. So, and they cut Tyrell Williams. Not that he played this year, but it's basically Ruggs and Waller and Edwards. If you ignore Aguilar, which I am, so
it's ingrained in your DNA to ignore.
Exactly. So yeah, I love to. I definitely think you could see him break out in the second year. And one other one I was just looking at, which is it wouldn't be me if I didn't give a totally unsexy one. At 139, Cole Beasley.
Oh, God,
the ever underrated Cole Beasley.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody wants to own him. He has no upside, so to speak. But he just scores points. He gives you wide receiver 2 numbers. At 139, you're not giving up hardly a wide receiver 65 in 1 QB. You're not giving up.
Outscore that for sure.
Yes. So I like that, especially if you're obviously if you're a rebuilding team, you have no desire for Cole Beasley, but otherwise he's a guy who'll get you that, like you were saying, 8, 10, 12, some 20-point weeks, all year. So I like Cole Beasley. Oh, I think there was one other one I was looking at, which was a little deeper. Van Jefferson. I still like him too. I mentioned him a while back on another pod, and I believe Josh Reynolds is a free agent.
Yes.
And Woods and Kupp are still going to be the 1-2, but we've seen Josh Reynolds pop up here and there. If either of them were to get hurt, neither of them is young. I think they're like 28 and 30 at this point. So
yeah, but also if they go back to 1 tight end, they go back to 11 personnel, 3 wide receivers out on there. Van Jefferson being the third, Stafford being a guy who throws the ball and now spreads the ball around. We don't know who his guy is going to be, and there's no reason it can't be Van Jefferson.
Right, and that's what I was going to say at the end there. It was just, especially with the upgrade at quarterback, the offense as a whole was going to be better too. So he's definitely a guy that nobody's like really thinking about. So he's another one I like there, 159.
All right, I'm still going to I pulled up ADP, so I'm going to go at number 100 is Mike Williams. So I don't care that he said past 100. Gotta stick to my brand. Darnell Mooney, especially if Allen Robinson goes away. It's not like he's going to replace Allen Robinson anyway, but that just opens targets. And he's good. Like he was getting a lot of Mr. Trubisky won't be there anymore to get him the targets because he got a lot of targets with Trubisky there, but not the point. Hunter Henry's all the way down here. Mike Gesicki. I think the Tua Gesicki connection is going to be a good one. Tua used the tight end a decent amount in college, so I think that's going to translate. Plus, Gesicki's a great pass catcher. Sterling Shepard is, again, another one of those guys like Cole Beasley, though Shepard has a lot of injury issues, but when he's on the field, he always does super well. And that's Paris Campbell's down here. Since Zach asked the question, we might as well bring up Paris Campbell because Zach is the reason I love Paris Campbell as much as I do.
One non-receiver that could be kind of Beasley-ish, I was just looking at. I do like Naheem Hines at 121.
Yes, I don't think we're ever going to see Jonathan Taylor. Yes, that's his name. Like, I don't think he's going to ever be like an 80% guy. Like, it never seemed like even when he was doing well towards the end of the season, Hines was still getting this. Like, I don't think there are many teams that are going to want to run their young guys into the ground. Like, I don't think it's going to be something that happens super often. So, yes.
And he's a guy people won't care about because he's never going to be a locked in RB1 or anything like that.
Absolutely.
But he's a guy, if you're, starting 10 or 11, something like that, he can get you 8, 10, 12 points a lot of weeks.
Yeah, losing Rivers hurt Hines a little bit, but also we
true.
don't know who's coming in. It could be a dude that likes to just dump off as much as Rivers. Nobody likes to dump off as much as Rivers.
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right, this next one at Danimal AF. My 106 and 109 for the 102. One quarterback, no tight end premium. He already has the 101. I also have 4 second rounders. I'm targeting Chase with the 102. Currently have DK, AJ Brown, Deontay Johnson, Pittman. Oh my God. I love that wide receiver core. Yes, do this to get Jamar Chase, because adding Chase to that is just so damn sexy. Yes. Okay, I got to be honest. In a one quarterback, I would easily do this because, I mean, remember the guys we were talking about? Like, we got to a point where it's just like, these guys might not get the draft. Like, the draft is going to change that section a lot. But the 106, I mean, let me pull it back up real quick. Like, I have to scroll up a lot because I was down scrolling to freaking down below the 100s. Thanks, Zach. But like the 106 right now, you're going to get a top 3 wide receiver, top 3 running back, or take Kyle Pitts if you damn well want to, right? Like, you do you. That's what matters. Like, be happy with what you're doing. But like once you hit the 109, we're in that iffy range of these guys where I think draft capital is going to matter a lot and landing spot's going to matter a lot. So why not move yourself up to a guy like Jamar Chase, who that dude's just damn good. Like, it's what it comes down to. Like, I don't think there's going. Crap, I just jinxed it. Like, there's not that many bad spots for a guy that good. Like, we got sad when CeeDee Lamb landed in Dallas because, like, wait, they already have Cooper and Gallup. But look what happened, at least when Dak wasn't around. Lamb still had a great year. So, man, I think I would absolutely do this.
I'm with you, and I think people too forget just how great Chase was because he didn't play last year. I mean, he was the guy over Justin Jefferson, who is some people's wide receiver 1 in Dynasty at this point in the NFL. Yep. So and just in general, I like the idea, especially in 1 QB, no tight end premium. Those top picks are worth even more to me. Because there's less talent spread out over the first round. So that's especially too, he has 4 second rounders. So he can start dipping into all those different receivers in the second round, which is what you're going to be drafting at 106 and 109 probably anyway.
Yeah, the tier there is big enough that if you have like the 202, you have a chance of getting the guy you would have gotten in the 109 anyway.
Exactly. So yeah, this is an easy trade for me to make. 106 and 109 for 102. I would do that easily.
DK Metcalf, AJ Brown, Jamar Chase, Deontay Johnson, Michael Pittman, LaVisca Chenault, and Jerry Jeudy. That is just so beautiful. Like, no words. That you should have sent a poet. Like, that is just.
If you ever figure out how to make that league where you get the most points for having the prettiest roster, that one will be up there.
There's no point. This guy wins.
Yeah.
Our last listener question is from this guy. I don't know if you've heard of him, at DLF_Carp. Tyler's my boy. He'll be on in a few weeks too. So he says, can you talk about the idea of an offer problem? Like we mentioned how we have a trading problem, but there's people like him who just have an offer problem. He's addicted to sending offers, not necessarily making the trade themselves. Is it just him or is it a thing? Let me tell you why this is a thing. Because creating offers is like putting a puzzle together. And that's why over the lifeline of Dynasty, I've probably made like maybe 2 or 3 3-team trades, but I've put like 20 to 30 of them together because it is so much fun. Like it's like sitting in there on your phone playing like the equivalent of like Candy Crush or 2048, where you have to move things in the right way. So 3 spots later, it's still working out for you. Like, that to me, that's part of the fun of creating, like, offering trades. Like, making trades is he's right. It's a very different thing. The serotonin of like getting a trade accepted or accepting a trade that there is to, actually, that is dopamine, to the serotonin of psych major. Yeah. Take that, Dad. So, oh man, I just broke myself. So yes, no, it's a very different feeling, and it's great being able to put those pieces together, especially when it is like a 3 or 4 or some really weird thing you put together. Absolutely, I completely understand the difference in having an offering problem, because it really is just sitting there and trying to put pieces together. And also it helps you realize how you value players if it's not something you really thought about before. You're like, am I really going to trade this guy for those guys? Well, I guess I don't value that guy as much as I thought I did on that other side. Like, it's so much of it. Yes, I am absolutely with you, Tyler. Yes, 100% it's a thing. And I am with you on that, as everyone in my leagues know, even though there are plenty of times I send just terrible trades. That's usually just because I'm bored. That's a different problem. Yes, as Rocky rejected one of my trades right before we started recording. I don't remember what it was anymore, but
but yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't think I have as much of an offering problem as you were, Tyler. I definitely do love making the trades, but it's definitely, I totally agree with what you said about putting a puzzle together. Shameless plug number 2 for Dynasty Junkies. We're working on Find Me a Trades for this week, and that's always, it's just trying to put that value together is always a lot of fun, but a lot of work. Just because especially for other people, I don't want to tell them the wrong thing. So, and I'm amazed too. You've gotten like 2 or 3. I've never done a 3-way trade, so.
There's okay. Now I'm gonna have to find something to work for us.
I would love to. I don't know if I have the time or the patience to try and make that all work.
Like I hit times in my job where my boss doesn't listen to this. There's like seriously, like once a week I can be lucky where I literally just like have almost no work to do in a day. Like maybe I'll make my next day a little busier, or maybe I have to work a little harder the day before, because sometimes you just need that day where there's nothing really going on. So like, yes, 100. That's my microphone blink. Okay. Like there's this light that's like moving, and like again, StreamYard like mirrors things, so I couldn't tell which direction it was coming from, but it's over here. Yeah, no, so yes, there are days. By the end of this week, I'm going to have a couple of offers of 3-way trades. We have to find the right partner for our 3-way. Okay, so that is our last listener question. Yes, so we have one Trade Addicts trade left. This is Trade Addicts 5. I went and got my guy on this one. My original offer was the 103, a 22 first that was not mine, and Christian Kirk for Justin Jefferson. I got a counter back of still that 103, the 22 first, but he asked for Laviska Shenault for Justin Jefferson. And I stared at this for a long time because I've been scooping up any Jaguars receivers I can, and especially Visca, because there was just moments where he's just like, that's a man. That man caught the ball. That man bounced off a couple of dudes, stiff-armed some guy into the ground, and then got tackled. But still, like, he just has these moments of looking so damn good, and we know he can do so much in open space and with a better offense than there was last year, which were almost guaranteed. So it was tough to get rid of Laviska, but I wanted Justin Jefferson on this team, and I don't have a reason why. Like, it is really what it comes down to. I just did this for the hell of it, and I think I overpaid a little bit. I just don't think I care.
Yeah, I think I was thinking that you basically said that you're getting your guy. I do think the value is probably on the picks and Visca side, but I'm big on, have we seen it before? And we have, even only 1 year, we've seen it with Justin Jefferson. Every single piece on the other side carries significantly more risk than Justin Jefferson. So yep. I don't think it's an awful overpay. I do think it's a little bit of an overpay, but I have no problem especially again a 22 first. We talked about it earlier, just like 23 first, I devalue them some, and Visca, who knows? I still think Chark is going to be the 1, so that makes Visca the 2, and he's going to have Lawrence, so we'll see. But I don't have a problem with it. I think the value is on the pick side, but I might, if this was presented to me, I might end up taking it doing it for Justin Jefferson too.
All right,
Yeah,
and also let me just say that the 22 first is Justin at Run DFF, our B squad guy, who actually named his team the B squad. So his team's going to be good, because I wouldn't bring a guy onto this show that just isn't fantastic on every single team he ever has. So clearly, I feel it's okay that it's going to be late.
There you go.
But yeah, like what it comes down to is every single person I asked about this pretty much said, "Yeah, you're right, you overpaid, but whatever." But here's why I felt okay doing this anything, even if I feel like trading Justin Jefferson after, well, this happened. So like now, if I feel like it, I wouldn't do a 3-for-1. I would probably do a 2-for-1, in which case I'm getting 2 stronger assets than the 3 I sent away, and that makes me feel better about my team. And not to mention, chances are, if I'm doing this, I'm going to do it for a 22 pick I think is going to be better, or 2 things that equal more than, well, the 103s, this year. And like I'm going to get something that is, the way I like to do it is because if I'm trading a guy like Justin Jefferson, I want something solid back. Like if I'm trading away Justin Jefferson, I'm going to get some guy who I know I feel safe being the cornerstone of my team, plus something that I think is going to be good for my team also. And assuming I'm not taking like a 3rd round startup pick as that first guy, I'm going to get 2 very strong assets back. Again, I haven't tried this, so I don't know if this is necessarily going to work. I don't know if I'm going to trade Justin Jefferson. To me, the options are there, so I felt completely fine making this trade, because it's not like I couldn't do something else if I wanted to from this point.
Right. Jefferson's not going to lose value anytime soon, and it's certainly possible, if not even likely, that any one of those pieces is never going to get you the return you get on Justin Jefferson if you do decide to move him. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is the end of our show sheet, and we are at 1:20. Okay, I'm not going to do that for 10 seconds. So we're just at about an hour and 27 minutes, which means by the time we start doing our outro, we will make it to an hour and a half, because, yeah, now it's a thing. But before we get into our usual end of the show, you want to announce it, Rocky? You want to do
it? Sure. Russ, I talked to Russ, and he has agreed that there will be a Trade Addicts 9. Yes, you've heard that correctly. Trade Addicts 9 coming soon to a MLF site near you.
MFL. But I haven't 100% decided it. Like, when Rocky brought this to me, I'm like, I'll run it, but I won't be in it. I can't do it. And then every second since I said that, I'm like, maybe I should do it. Like, because the itch is getting real, like wanting a startup. I even said it at the beginning of the show. But it's happening. That's the important part. Rocky will be in the league. I may or may not.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's how I got Russ to do it. There was some talk about it at the time, I think, and I was like, I even told him I could run it if you want. He's like, no, I'll run it, but you just be in it, and maybe it'll be. I think by the time we start drafting, Russ will be in the league.
Yeah, there's a very good possibility, because, like we said before, patience isn't really my thing. So. But yes, Trade Addicts 9 is happening. No matter how much I said it wasn't going to, you can blame or thank Rocky, whichever side of that you are. I guess if you don't get in, you blame him. If you do get in, you thank him. But now let's get to our usual shtick, if you will. If you have enjoyed everything that you have watched, hopefully, it's funny. Like I always say, it's unedited, but like I've actually gotten very good at not cursing, except for that time with the microphone before when I uploaded the wrong file. So at least not for me, you're not going to get too much cursing, but guests and all of that stuff. Sometimes we say stupid shit. There you go. Even though I don't edit that out anyway. But it's an unedited show. You get to watch, or you could just listen along with whatever's going on in your YouTubes. But you get to watch us. You get to be a little bit part of the show, because sometimes people do say stuff in the chat that we bring into the show. But also there is the Cool Kids Club, our group me chat, which is just freaking awesome. Well, last week we had Ryan on, who came in because of the Cool Kids Club. I mean, we have our B team of Scott and Justin because of the Cool Kids Club. The next, I think, like 3 weeks, we just have people from the Cool Kids Club, Cool Kids Club, Cool Kids Club, just because I've been saying it so much. Guesting on the show, so not, pretty much yes. I'll say it. You join up and it's guarantee you a spot on the show. If you leave right afterwards, it'll make me sad, but hey, whatever. I think that's all. Like we're Rocky and I were talking about adding a little bit more stuff with that comes with the Patreon, but then my work got busy and I completely forgot about it. But yes, there will be more stuff on the horizon that comes along with being part of our Patreon. We also have our store, ffpodshirts.storeenvy.com, where you can buy awesome stuff from all of the DAP Network shows, including some DAP Network stuff. But there's Trade Addicts, Junkies is back, and you can go buy some sticker shirts or mugs to celebrate. Get Real, Fantasy Timeline. Then there's every other show you could think of: Devi Marketplace, Superflex Super Show, Dynasty Game Night, Dynasty Vipers, Fantasy Intervention. They haven't recorded in like a year and a half, but Dynasty Diagnostic stuff is still there. Coast to Coast Scouting. Man, like I ran out of fingers a while ago, but I was still listing things. But the awesome part about this is you get all this awesome stuff, but every single penny goes to charity. Rocky and I switch off every 2 months. This week is Rocky, so I'll let him talk about the charity.
Yeah, it's just the Autism Asperger's Network, just to support basically people who have children on the spectrum, help people, provide research support, everything like that. I'm doing a horrible job of explaining this, but I think you get the idea. And yeah, everything through I guess through the end of February, right, will go to them to help with that. So it's a very good cause. And then I guess Russ will pick something in March.
Yep, I'll have to start thinking about it because I did this like 3 times and I'm already out of charities. And since I have still been too lazy and completely forgotten to get my kids to re-record the outro, what do? Rate, review, and subscribe both our show and the DAP Network itself, the Dynasty Addicts Podcast Network. I don't know why you're supposed to rate and review, but everyone says it's important, and I have to do what everyone else says is important because that makes me feel like part of the group. I am at Dynasty Outhouse. He is at Dynasty FF Addict. Follow the show at Trade Addicts Pod, the network at DAP_network. We are also a proud member of the DLF family of podcasts, where you could download or subscribe to the Mega Stream, where you get awesome shows like the DLF flagship, Dynasty Game Night, Trade Addicts Pod, Superflex. Okay, so like half the people we sell stuff for in our in our store. But there's also Read and React, the IDP show, Devi. I always get this wrong. Destination Devi, Commission Possible, Fantasy Builders, Four Corners Fantasy Show. All of these awesome shows. All you gotta do is subscribe to one stream, and it all just shows up in your podcast app, because that's what the kids do these days.
And we are well over an hour and a half for us.
Yeah, I don't really we're at 132. I don't really have to ramble anymore, though I'm out of stuff to ramble. All that's left to say is thank you everyone we still have 7 viewers. Thank you everyone who stopped in for a second. We appreciate you, we love you, and good night everybody.
Good night, Russ.